All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to build a conceptual bridge between two really powerful techniques you'll see all the time for array and string problems, prefix hashing and the sliding window. We're going to figure out why one can sometimes be a clever shortcut for the other, and more importantly, how you can spot when it's time to make that leap. You ever have that feeling? You're staring at a problem, you know a simple loop isn't going to cut it, but you're just not sure which advanced tool to grab from your toolbox? Yeah, you're not alone. Choosing between techniques like these is a super common hurdle, and it's exactly what we're going to clear up today. So you can think of this as a tale of two techniques. On one side, you've got prefix hashing, which you can kind of think of as the full history method. And on the other side, you've got the sliding window, which is the current window method. Now, they seem totally different on the surface, but there's actually a direct logical path from one to the other. And understanding that path, well, that's the whole key. Okay, let's start our journey on one side of that bridge. We'll begin with the full history method. This is our general-purpose, super powerful prefix hashing technique. It's really the foundation for everything else we're going to talk about. So what's the big idea here? At its core, prefix hashing is all about keeping track of a cumulative state as you move through your data. Imagine you're just walking along a string, one character at a time. At every single step, you calculate a little summary of everything you've seen so far. That summary, that's your state. And you just pop it into a hash map along with where you are. Now, here comes the magic. This is the aha moment. If you're walking along and you suddenly hit a state that you've seen before, that you've already recorded in your map, that tells you something huge. It means that the entire chunk of the string between where you first saw that state and right now has a net zero effect on your calculation. And that is the secret to finding a valid substring, whatever the problem defines valid as. Let's make this real. Say we're looking for substrings where every character shows up exactly 2 times. We'll track the counts, but modulo 2. So for A, B, B, C, our initial state is seen right before the string even starts. Then, after we process AA, the count for A is 2, which is 0 mod 2. Hey, the state just repeated. We found a valid substring. This happens again at AAB, and then again at AABBC, which is how we can also find other valid substrings like BB and CC. See? It's all about tracking that full history. Okay, so prefix hashing is fantastic, right? It works for these really complex, big picture constraints. But it makes you wonder, for simpler problems, is there a simpler way? Is there a shortcut? And that brings us to the absolute central question of this entire explainer. Do we really always need to remember every single state we've ever been in? What if the problem's constraints are, a little simpler? What if all we care about is what's happening right now? Well, it turns out there is a shortcut, but, and this is a big but, it only works under some very specific conditions. First, the problem has to be about a continuous, unbroken block of elements. Second, the property you're tracking has to be monotone. That just means as you make your window bigger, the property only ever increases or only ever decreases. And third, if you break a rule, you have to be able to fix it just by shrinking the window from the left side. When all 3 of those conditions are met, boom, we can switch from our general purpose tool to a highly specialized one. And that, my friends, takes us to the other side of our bridge, the sliding window. You see, the sliding window just completely forgets about the full history. It doesn't care what happened 10 steps ago. It only cares about the state of the current little segment it's looking at. It's got 2 pointers, a right one that's always expanding the window, grabbing new elements, and a left one that shrinks the window whenever a rule gets broken. It's this dynamic, super focused approach. And that really brings us to the key difference, right? Prefix hashing is like keeping a detailed diary of your entire journey from the very beginning. The sliding window, it's like a sticky note that only tells you about the last few steps you took. It's remembering everything versus remembering only what's important right now. This difference naturally leads them to be good at different things. Prefix hashing, it shines with those tricky, exact constraints, like our exactly k times example. The sliding window, though, is the absolute star for monotone constraints. Things like find the longest substring with at most k distinct characters. Think about it. As you add a new character, the count of distinct characters can only go up or stay the same. It can't go down. That's a monotone property. Okay, so we've built the bridge, we've seen both sides. How do you actually use this? When you're faced with a new problem, how do you decide which tool to pull out? It's actually pretty simple. Here's a little checklist for you. Just ask yourself those 3 questions again. 1, is it about a contiguous block? 2, is the property I'm tracking monotone? And 3, if I break the rule, can I fix it just by moving the left pointer? If you get a confident yes to all 3, then the sliding window is probably a great, efficient choice. If not, the more robust, more powerful prefix hashing approach is your safe bet. So you see, it all comes down to understanding this relationship. Prefix hashing is the general case, the one that can handle almost anything, and the sliding window is that awesome, efficient shortcut you can take when the conditions are just right. So if you only take one thing away from this explainer, let it be this. Prefix hashing uses the full history to solve complex exact problems. Sliding window forgets the past to efficiently solve simpler monotone problems. But this all raises a really fascinating final question. We know the sliding window is a shortcut. And every shortcut has its limits, right? A place where it just doesn't work. So when, exactly, does this elegant, efficient approach completely fall on its face? Well, that's exactly what we're going to explore next time. We'll look at a problem where the sliding window seems like the perfect tool, but it fails spectacularly. Then, we'll actually put the code for both of these techniques side by side to really nail down when and why you should choose each one. I'll see you then.